I want you to picture this. You have Assassin's Creed. You love Assassin's Creed. You want to keep playing Assassin's Creed. You also have Dying Light 2. You haven't beat Dying Light 2. You will at some point. You're not playing it right now, but you don't want to get rid of it. But you just bought a brand new game. Your buddy told you about Call of Duty, so you bought Call of Duty. You get ready to download it, and you get that fateful error that tells you that you don't have enough storage to download it. So what do? Well, you've already bought it, so you're either going to have to get rid of Dying Light 2, or you're going to have to get rid of Assassin's Creed. What do? Well, why not keep all three and upgrade your storage? That's what we're going to be going. That's what we're going to be going over in this episode of the Uphill Battle. If you were fortunate enough to find a PS5 and you had enough money to buy a PS5, then you might be in this very predicament. But great news, the Gen X Gamer is going to show you how to upgrade your storage in the PS5. I'm also going to show you where you can find some pretty decent storage from as well. Tune in as we upgrade our storage on tonight's episode of The Uphill Battle. Alright, so the first thing that we need is an SSD. Now we can't just use any SSD. We have to use a very specific type of SSD. That SSD is called a Gen 4 x 4 M.2 NVMe SSD. It has to be a key M. Now, none of that might make sense to you, but essentially the key M means it needs to be in a certain shape. M.2 means it needs to be a certain type of SSD, and Gen 4 x 4 means it needs to run at a certain speed. It's a Generation 4 x 4 speed. Essentially, it needs to be a very specific type. There's tons of M.2 SSDs out there, but there's only a few that fit this criteria. I'm going to put the link to the official PlayStation website that goes over the requirements. As long as you're following those guidelines, we should be good. Anywhere between 250 gigabytes to 4 terabytes will be fine. And you'll see that all in the link. Now, it does say the read speed needs to be 5,500 megabits per second or faster, or rather, it says it's recommended. So I purchased an SSD off of Newegg, and I'm going to put the link in chat here. This, I think, meets the requirements, but even if it doesn't, from what I understand, even if it's a little bit, it runs a little bit slower than the 5,500 megabits per second, it should run fine. It might not run quite as fast as the pre-installed hard drive, but honestly, from what I understand, you really wouldn't know the difference. Basically, the PS5, the default hard drive inside of it, the SSD drive inside of it, runs at 5.5 gigabytes per second. That's how fast it can transfer speeds over. So I purchased this guy right here. I'm going to have the link in chat. So you'll see that if you follow the link, there's no reviews on this at all. And I'm very wary about purchasing things that have no reviews on them. Now, with that said, the reason why I purchased this is because I went online and I actually found that that silicone, the silicone power, or silicon power, pretty much everything they sell has amazing reviews, and a lot of them. Even though this did not have any reviews, and I believe it was released recently. It was released just within the last few days, I believe. Matter of fact, if you look on Newegg, I think it still says pre-order, which I clicked pre-order, but I still got it today. So I am good with that. So we're going to install this bad boy in here and see how it works. Let's see what I'm doing here so you can see what I'm doing. This is not the technical part, so I might or might not fast forward through this. This is just basically me fighting with, doing my best against life. All right, here we go. And that actually was not that hard. Get rid of that. Got it. So here we go. Now, with any SSD, SSD should really have a cooler on them, just our heatsink. Just like your CPU has bigger heat sinks on them. It should really have a heat sink on it because they get pretty hot They get hot whenever they read, but they get really hot when they write. Which means when they're pulling information in, they get really hot. The hotter it gets, the slower or less efficient it'll work, and it'll wear it down quicker, and it might even affect the performance as you're going through. So we want to install a heatsink on this guy. Fortunately, I looked ahead and I bought myself a heatsink. I'll also have this on this link in there for you as well. I got this guy off Amazon. I actually looked on some reviews on Amazon and I found one where they said they had, because you have to get a certain size, and I believe it's 5 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken, 5 millimeters or less heatsink, or else you will not be able to put the hard drive cover back on. And the hard drive cover apparently is important. This little guy is cool because not only does it come with a heatsink, but it also comes with a tiny little screwdriver and all the screws as well. It seems like it really comes with everything that you need, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to open this guy up. Still me trying my best. We got screws. Okay. Got a pretty loud. I'll keep the screwdriver. I'll use it going forward. Oh, shit. I'm dropping shit. Okay. Now, if you notice, there's actually a sticker on the front. I'm assuming I'm supposed to peel that off. I don't know for sure. But I'm going to do it. So I'm going to peel that off. I would assume we'd have to. So that we can access those. Because if the thermal pads are not directly on the memory pads, they're not going to get the proper cooling. By the way, this little guy here, I meant to go over the price. It is one of the cheapest 2 terabyte Gen 4 x4 SSDs out there. It didn't have any reviews, as I said earlier, but it was only $119. You'd be hard pressed to find any that are any less than $180 right now. With the qualifications that this guy has. And I believe it says it can run up to 4,950 megabytes per second, which is real close to the recommended 5,500 megabits per second. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a win. If you notice, there is a little divot in the back here of the SSD, and there's a divot here as well. So I'm assuming that's how these are supposed to go in. Pretty much just like, it's kind of hard to see, but just like this, I would assume. I hope, because that's how I'm going to do it. Okay. There we go. Now, by the way, you should always ground yourself before you do anything like this. I did not ground myself. I am very lucky that there's not a lot of static in here tonight. You should always ground yourself before doing anything like this, because if you don't, you could fry whatever components that you're working with. And you don't want to do that. So I took the protective film off the bottom first, and I'm just going to place this in here, starting at the very edge, and just kind of work my way back. Okay. You watch any of my previous stuff, you'll know that I'm really good at making messes. I should just have a separate show all about making messes. I would have rocket that. All right. So here we go. Got it where I want it. Got it where I want it. Okay. I'm going to kind of blow it off. Make sure any residue is not on there. Probably put more residue on. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick this in there in the configuration that I kind of said I was going to use before. Trying to make sure that's as even. The divot, the divot on the heatsink and the divot on the actual hard drive is as even as I can get them. And I just press them down, press it down. You can see that the divots pretty much match up perfectly. I'm really hoping I didn't put that too far back. But you know what? It's not like this is super glue or anything. So if I did, I'm sure I can pull it back out again and redo it. Okay. All right. Time to put the pads on the front now. Or the top, rather. Pretty much the same process. You're going to pull one plastic part off of one of the thermal pads, and you're going to align it as best as you can with the front of the bracket. So about right here. I want it to be on the side. I want it to lean more towards the side as the components on it. So I'm going to, forgive me, so I might take a couple tries in doing this. All right, so I've got that thermal pad pretty much on the side, mostly with the components. And now I'm going to pull the protective film off the top of this as well. And take the actual thermal pad with it on accident. Come on. Come on, let go for me. Let go for Papa. I think I got it. I think I got it. Whew. That, not gonna lie, that kind of sucked. Oh, okay, well, all that was for naught because it came up, but that's okay. I can just kind of wiggle it back down there again. All right. So I'm going to have to, I think, pull it up a little bit anyway again because it didn't really come down the way I wanted it to. All right, I think we're good. I think we're good. I have it pretty much placed evenly on the top as well. It's time to put the top bracket on. The top bracket is the actual heatsink itself. So what we're going to do, okay. That's me still making messes. Okay. You probably want this to be as even as you can too, so, all right. What we're going to do is we're going to line up the little holes right here with the little screw holes. You can't see them really, but they're screw hole here, here, and at the far end. We're going to line those up because we're going to be putting screws in those as well. And again, divot for divot right here. This has a divot as well. It should meet up with the divot on here. So we're just going to do our best to get those screw holes lined up. And apparently there's a little notch here. I don't know if you probably can't see the notch. It's right there. It actually is a really good indicator of where you should put it at. I didn't even see that before. Might have made this a little bit easier. There we go. That was pretty easy to put together. Not going to lie. A little bit easier than I expected it to be. And it's time to go ahead and screw this bad boy together. I'm going to use the little plastic holder that the hard drive came in to hold my screws, because why not? And it'd be really cool if this thing was magnetic. Who wants to take a bet it's magnetic? Pause the video. Pause the video right now. Go to the comments and tell me if you think it's going to be magnetic or not. Let's find out. Probably pull this up here. Come on. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Oh, look at that. Look at that. If you made a bet that it was, you just won, my friend. Okay, let's go screw these in here. One at a time. I don't think it really matters what configuration you do. And if I had it all to do over again, I would do the exact same thing. Because nobody can't tell me nothing. I don't think I really need to tighten these down super tight. I don't think they're going anywhere, but nonetheless, I don't want them to be loose either. So I'm just going to snug them up a little bit. Don't want to strip them either. These are cute little screws. And they deserve cute little TLCs. Okay. Cool thing about this is they give you an extra screw unless you lose one. So that's unless I'm missing one. Okay. So first part, success. You could go out and buy an SSD that already has one of these on there. The cooler was only $10, $11 on Amazon. You can find them even cheaper other places too, but this one got like 3,000 some odd reviews, and they were all really good. And plus, I know for sure, at least I believe I know for sure, it is going to fit the PS5. It's going to be thin enough to fit the PS5. So that's why I went with this one. But you can find, you can buy SSDs with the coolers already on there. Just as a warning, though, they will probably be more expensive than the normal SSD will, which is why I opted to buy the SSD I purchased and buy the heatsink separately. Yeah. Success. Let's stick this guy in the PlayStation. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is if you have a bracket on yours, if you have a base, we'll have to take the base off. So I'm going to do that right now. And I have a pillowcase underneath it because I don't want to scratch the top of the PlayStation up. Okay. So we want to make sure the power, and if you have a disc version, the disc is facing that way and upwards. The power button is facing that way. If you did the digital version only, the power button should be facing that way, and the PlayStation symbol should be facing on the side closest to the table, on the table itself. It should be basically turned upside down. So we're going to grab the very edge of the PlayStation and we're going to pull it up. Alright. Yeah, so no harm, no foul, you know, but you can see it actually comes off pretty easy. You can see there's actually little hooks that kind of hook in there, and just a little bit of push will push in the right direction. So you, my friend, are coming over here because you've been bad. So it's time now to take the cover off of the additional SSD drive, which is right here. There's a little screw, Phillips screwdriver that holds it in place. So we're just going to take that off. It looks like it definitely requires a little bit of force to do. If you have a small screwdriver like this, you'll definitely need to use two hands at first. Small screwdriver probably won't matter. Or a big screwdriver probably won't matter. Pretty big screw in here. We'll just take that cover out. Okay. And here is the additional drive bay for the SSD. And that's what we're going to put in there. So when we put this in there, the actual connectors are going to face towards the disk drive, or if there's no disk drive, where the disk drive would be. And you want the if you're using a heatsink, you want the heatsink to actually be on top. If you're not using a heatsink, which I strongly recommend you do, then you want to make sure whatever components you have are facing upwards on the actual SSD itself. You can actually see, and you probably can't see it with the camera, but it actually shows you the actual format, the M key format, a long space and then a short space where the connectors will go in, and you really can't get it wrong. So we're just going to slide this into place here. There we go. So it feels like it's in place. Now there is obviously a screw that should hold this in. And there's not one in there, so I'm wondering, and this screw I don't think will do the job. There is a screw right here, and I believe that's what we should be using. So I'm going to pull this guy out here. Because there's multiple sizes to these SSDs. This happens just to be a shorter size. The PlayStation will actually take 4 different sizes. If you go to the link to the SSD requirements, it'll actually show you the 4 different sizes it'll take. And it'll handle a shorter size like this one is here, or a longer size that goes to the very back. So I'm just going to take the screw out of the very back. And I'm going to place it in the screw hole closer to where we need to fasten our SSD down in. I'm going to assume the same screw works here, and it seems like it does. I don't see why it wouldn't. And yes, it actually does screw into the actual SSD itself, not the bracket. So I wouldn't make that too tight. That would be lightly snug at the most, because PCB boards are really hard to break, but nonetheless, though, you don't want to take your chance. Once you get that on, then it's time. I mean, that's it. That really is it. That's all you have to do. Now, what I'd probably suggest you do is drop your screwdriver. What I'd probably suggest you do is hook it back up again and make sure the SSD is running before you put it all back together again. But I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to go and put it all back together now, because I really don't want to pull it all back off again if it's working correctly. If it's not working correctly, then I have more issues than having to pull it back apart again. So, because I'll have to troubleshoot to find out what's going on. Might have to send the hard drive back again. Nobody wants to do all that. This is literally one of the easiest upgrades I think I've ever had to do before. Only easier one I think would be on PlayStation 4, where you literally just simply pull one side off, not the Pro, but the original. Pull one side off, unscrew the hard drive bay, pull it out, put a new one in, screw back in, slide the side back on again, and you're done. Okay, now let's go ahead and put the we're gonna put the side back on exactly the way it came off. Here's a fan, by the way. It's a big freaking fan. It needs to be big because this thing gets really hot. We're just going to slide this thing back on the best that we can and hope that it just snaps back into place like it's supposed to. Like a good little cover. That sounds like it snapped back into place. Doesn't seem like anything. Whoop, nope, it did not. Okay. Alright. I guess I have to put a little more force on it than that. Make sure all the little pieces are lined up correctly. Okay, I think I'm hearing some snaps happen here. Okay, that just still comes right back off again. Okay, let's see. I wonder if it's supposed to come off that easy. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. That's in there. That's in there. Okay, now that we have that done. Oh, that's not good. I'm hearing some loose in there. I don't like that. Well, shoot. What is loose in there? That's not a good sound. Well, I got you off once before. I can get you off again. He said to the PlayStation. Oh, okay. So what I didn't know was there's a little metal piece here that I guess helps hold down, secure the SSD down, which makes sense, and probably more evenly distributes the screw. And whenever I pulled it out of the screw hole I didn't need, Now I guess it didn't have any way to be fastened down, so it's just literally moving around the drive bay, which I'm sure would have been fine. But again, I'm OCD, and there's no reason why we shouldn't do this the right way. So I'm going to do it the right way. So I'm going to go and put this little guy in the screw hole, and then put it right back down in there where it belongs. Little guy messed with the wrong Gen X gamer today. Okay. I wonder if it should be under... Oh, you know what? No. I think it's supposed to be underneath there. That would actually make sense. Okay. That would make too much sense. That's probably why it kind of doesn't go down all the way. Alright. Come on back up again. Alright, so I don't know if you can see it, but there are 4 little divots. There's one right here, one right here, one right here, and one right here. So the PlayStation 5 will actually take, well, actually 5. One here, 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 and here. In the very back, you probably can't see the last one, but that's where this little metal round piece came from. I'll need to put it back in one of these holes here to correctly hold down keep the SSD from going too far down, further down than what it should. Let's put the screw back in again. I really don't want to take that entire drive apart again. Let's put the screw back in again. Screw it down. Screw it downtown, Charlie Brown. Okay. As long as it's not coming up, which it doesn't seem to be. I think we're good. Let's go and put it back together again. There we go. Once you get that snap, you're good. Let's go ahead and put the base back on again. I hope if I did it the right way. There we go. Slide it from the very back. And screw it on. Probably should use a flathead to tighten it very tight. I'm just finger tightening it. Okay. Let's hop over to our TV and find out if it works. I apologize in advance. I do not have a recorder that I can pull from my PS4. So we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. There I am standing holding this. Here we go. To use your M.2 SSD, you need to format it. When you format your M.2 SSD, all data on it will be deleted. Do you want to continue using your PS5 without formatting your M.2 SSD? Turn on your PS5 and then remove your M.2 SSD. But I do want to format it, and so that's okay. Well, let's just go and move this guy over to format. Let's format it. Don't turn off your PS5. Okay. Look at that. Read speed 4,675 megabits per second. That's about 300 less than what it was advertised for, but I'll be honest with you, that's completely okay with me. As far as I know, this is working right, but let's give it a real trial here. Let's actually move a game over. Okay, so The Last of Us is a very, very big game, 84 gigabytes. So let's go and move this guy over. Okay, so we're going to go and move, and let's see how long it takes. It does show out of the 2 terabytes I have 1.91 usable. That's because part of it has to go towards being formatted. It also has to understand the operating system is being used. Basically, it's kind of like a little mini OS on it.
So we're not going to get that back, but that's okay. I was aware of that. Actually, doesn't take nearly as much up as some others do. So the item you selected will be moved to M.2 SSD storage. Okay with that. Let's see. It is moving it remarkably quickly, like about 2 to 3 gigabytes a second. It is supposed to be able to read about 5.5. The PlayStation storage reads about 5.5 gigabytes a second. So it might not write that fast, but it reads that fast. This is reading about 2 to 3 gigabytes per second. Now, I want to remind you, this is an 84 gigabyte game. And it's been going for about maybe 15 seconds so far. $71 gigabytes. I should have timed this. I didn't time it. I should have timed it. But I would guess that that was probably about 30 seconds right there in all. That is not shabby. So as long as we don't have any really weird errors that happen after this, was this a win? I think so.
So I think it's safe to say that this was a good buy. A good buy. And shortly goodbye, because we're almost done. So I think I can confidently recommend this product to you. It seems like it works really well. I did not even get the warning stating that the USB was too slow to use. So buy with impunity. Buy at your own risk. I can't guarantee yours will work, but it definitely worked well with mine. So in addition, I want to make a shout out to our Facebook group, We Are Real Gamers. That is We Are A-R-E, Real Gamers, GAMERZ exclamation point. And also my Facebook content creators group, The Uphill Battle. Thanks for watching. Peace.